I was once a senior patrol leader, SPL, in my Boy Scout troop growing up. This basically meant I was the lead Boy Scout. We were on a camping weekend at an old Catholic mission out in the middle of nowhere. Our troop met at the Catholic church I grew up in, so we commonly camped at Catholic-owned properties. We camped out in this field where our tents were actually between two old cemeteries, one for priests, one for nuns who had passed away while serving at the local church mission. It was creepy AF from the start, but we really didn't have a choice, so there we were. The Saturday night we were out there, we played a game that was basically just capture the flag. Across from our campsite was a massive field and clearing. Lined on one side was a bunch of old and half-destroyed buildings from the 2030s in this field. Old barn house and shed was most of it. The middle of this field had an old stone building used as a bakery back in the day. While playing our game late at night, close to midnight, some of the guys ventured out into the woods that lined the field to hide and be stealthy. At one point, one of my younger guys starts yelling for me to come over and for us to pause the game. I was a little concerned, but thought he was just being dumb and maybe hurt himself or something stupid. I walk up and everyone has their flashlights out looking at what he was holding. What he had in his hand still gives me chills when I think about it to this day. He found a completely handmade Ouija board, with the letters and symbols made with a wood burner. This thing wasn't bought, it was made with a purpose. None of us could talk. We were speechless. The only sound you could hear was the wind starting to pick up around the trees in the distance. There was a heaviness and weight that came over us that I can't even begin to explain. Paired with the history of where we were and the circumstances, we had some real fear. I took the board and sent my troop back to camp to calm them down. I walked back into the woods a little ways, tossed it as far as I could, and then sprinted back to camp across the way. Needless to say, I don't think many of us slept that night, or really had any desire to go back and camp there again. It's still one of the creepiest things that I've experienced. Found handmade Ouija board in the woods near two cemeteries. I had a school trip in 2012, and we were going to a forest here in Brazil. Since most forests here are either a bit small or big as all hell, this one was right in the middle. I have forgotten the reason on why we went there, most sure it was because they wanted to show us the beauty of nature, since the topic on my school at the time was deforestation. I call it a trip since I don't think camp would be the right word for it, but we were going to stay a week on the forest, which was a pretty good idea and a bad one at the same time. One of my friends, which I will call Victor, was the only one that was with the same fear as me, since we both have dendrophobia, fear of trees, and wiccophobia, fear of witches. Since witches are somewhat known to live in forests, although we were able to stay pretty calm, which was surprising since we were both 9 at that time. The day of arrival of pretty okay, we explored the forest, talked a lot, and a hell bunch of other things. It was like those moments that you have with your friends that you absolutely forget everything else and just have fun, until we had to sleep. I have insomnia, so sleeping was the worst part for me. While I could hear the teacher snoring right next to our tent, yes we sleep in tents, I was counting billions of sheep trying to sleep. Until I heard a wheezing noise. Like a rubber chicken that's refilling itself with air. I waked up Victor, who just told me to go to sleep, when the wheezing noise happened again. Since he had a flashlight, we also woke up the teacher, who started giving us a lecture, wheezing again. We all agreed that if it was normal, we still needed to see what it was. We found something we three both got scared by and laughed at it on the morning of the second day. For some reason, a savage dog had a rubber chicken in its mouth. Which put up two thoughts in my mind that still haven't been answered until today.